Hello. I think it is time for a little blog tutorial on what a blog is. I got a comment from one of Mr. F's relatives, and they were really outraged and offended about my writing about my in-laws. And she pretty much, well, not pretty much, called me a bitch and a liar. And that's fine. I mean, it wasn't nice, but I can see that they felt like they needed to defend my in-laws, and that what I was writing was appropriate to them. And I get that, and I'm sorry that that had to happen. But I do feel like it needs to be made clear that I did not write the Christmas letter. I did not, and I don't think on the Christmas letter my blog address was actually given. For this reason, because a blog is a journal. Some people have family blogs where they post pictures about their kids and little holiday updates, whatever. That is not what this is. This is my personal journal that you can access. Anyone can. And because of that, I don't know if you, if you've been reading since December and you've been lurking, then you're lurking, and I can't, I have no way to know that you're reading or account for your readership. If I know that you read, then I would maybe be able to use that in consideration of what I'm writing. But if I don't know that you read, I can't know that, I'm not omniscient. Heavy. Do this. And I'm sorry that the post was upsetting to you, but if you read the comments of the other post, you'll know that Mr. F shares my feelings 100%, has read all my posts before they're published, and is happy, well, fine with them. I won't say happy that that's what we experienced the weekend, but totally fine with my posting them, talking about it, using my blog in the way that I want to use it. I wonder if you haven't been reading all along and you just jumped in on that one post and so it was out of context for you. But if you've been reading my blog all along, you know that I'm honest and forthright about, in a humorous form, mostly, about every relationship in my life. This is not the only relationship that I talk about. And Mr. F's parents are not reading that post. They don't read my blog unless they're doing it from some secret location. I know that their computer has never come to my blog. I labeled it just in case. We've never given them the blog address. Never talk about my blog. There was never any mention of the blog while they were here. And those posts were written while they were here or driving, so they could not have read them. Anyway, so if you were worried about that, that didn't happen. What else? But really, for the most part, I guess my feelings are just this, that if you don't get my blog or want to read my blog, don't read it. I really didn't ask for anyone in Matt's family to read my blog. I didn't want anyone to read it because it is personal and I don't know most of you, and things would be taken out of context. And I suggest, and I have had open conversations with Mr. F's sisters about it, and of course it's hard to not take it personally when it's somebody who's related to you, but as I have explained to them and they've understood, if you're going to read my blog, you have to read it as you would read any other person's blog, a stranger's blog. And do you want, I need to put this in the pie, but I'll give you some. And in that situation, if you were reading about someone's awkward brunch with their parent, husband's parents, it would be funny. And that's the way in which it was written, because it was funny. I mean, it was awful and funny. It's not written really for any other reason than that, except for me to have a way to vent my experience. It's called Mrs. Furious. It's not called Mrs. Cordial or Mrs. Nice. It's called Mrs. Furious because, it allows me to have a format to rant about things that that are frustrating. So that's right up there in the title. Never pretending that's not what's going on. It's a humorous diarist format. If you don't think it's funny, then you shouldn't read it. And I would think that if you've been reading since December, you would have either figured out that you get my sense of humor or you don't. And if you don't, then you shouldn't read it. I don't know why you would. And if you're offended on their behalf, I'm really sorry about that. It isn't... did you want a blueberry? Yeah. It isn't written... It's hard to explain. I mean, it's written just to be a truthful version of my experience, which is my truth, and that is how it was. And I'm sorry if that isn't what you would write. You're more than welcome to not read, or have your own blog where you write about your life in the way that you think is appropriate. I don't think people get off on it. I think people like to read it because I'm being truthful, and most people can relate to an uncomfortable relationship with your in-laws. It's pretty common. That's why there are mother-in-law jokes and caricatures on pretty much every television program. So that's that. Honestly, if you're reading my blog and you don't comment, I don't know you read, and I can't account for you. I don't assume that everyone who I've ever met reads my blog. In fact, I can pretty much guarantee 99.9% of my readers don't know me, and that's why it is a pseudonym and it's anonymous. It really isn't like supposed to be a, I don't know, family blog. And that's all I can say. I would hope that you can see it from my point of view, and if you can't, that's totally fine. I get that. I just suggest that you probably not read. I don't write about my in-laws very often. In fact, I think that they comprise probably the smallest portion of what I write about. But when I see them, it is factually tense and uncomfortable for everybody. For Mr. F, for me, for them, it is. It's a hard relationship. And that is, they'll admit that. There's nothing secretive about that. And I use my blog to express myself and make contact with my friends and get support. And you are choosing to read that. But it's nothing that we wouldn't say at a dinner party with our friends, or, call my friend afterwards, or my mom, and that's, I don't know, that's the kind of person I am. So keep that in mind. That's all I can do.